Rick, what played into you guys changing the lines up front after the second period?
We were doing okay. Just, again, trying to generate some offense. Some guys, you could tell some guys were a little bit on, and some guys a little bit off, so I switched them up.
Rick, the team said that it felt like it got to its game today. I know it doesn't get the result it's looking for, but is there a sense of pride in the fact that your team goes out at least fighting like that, or is some of that taken away from the fact they admittedly say it took too long for them to get to their game in this series?
It took too long, but listen, in the 2 years, that's by far the best playoff game we've played. It didn't go our way tonight. A couple of goals went in off of us. We had some chances that we didn't score. Where it was at in the first 4 games, that's the questions we're going to have to answer ourselves over the course of the summer. But we're way ahead of where we were at this point last year when we lost. Way ahead. The team made a lot of great strides during the course of the season. We had a great regular season. We did 4th in the league. Is there a lot to learn from this series when you compare tonight to the previous 4? Absolutely. When you lose game 3 and 4, you're because of the penalty kill. So we gotta grow from there. But tonight, listen, I'm proud of the effort of the guys. They fought right till the end. It just didn't go our way tonight, but there's growth. We had a great regular season, and again, learn from tonight.
Rick, I was there in Vegas last year during the pushback press conference, and this is such a world different from that. You guys played
100%. Yeah, I'm very proud of the guys tonight. Very proud.
Yeah, it feels different. It feels different amongst them as well. Josh Morrissey just spoke to the idea that, hey, I hope this stings. I hope that this stings all of us for the summer and that we learn from it, use it as a growth opportunity. Is that kind of, you've also sort of echoed it, is that the collective message that everybody needs?
Yes, there's no moral victories. There's growth. You got to grow. And we took a lot of strides as a group this year. We grew a lot, and we did. That's why we were 110 points and led the league in goals against. Now, is there still room for growth? Absolutely. It's obvious when you compare tonight to the previous 4 that, okay, this is what the playoffs are. Now, why it took to the 5th game to get there, we'll have to answer those questions, but we will, and we'll grow from it. We grew a lot over this because you compare this team to last year, there's very little comparison. This team is much better, much tighter, and we made a lot of huge strides. We did. It didn't show itself for the first 4 games. I know that. I get that. So that's something we all have to live with. That's something we have to answer to. But again, it's growth, and we'll take it from there.
Rick, what are the primary reasons why you couldn't get to the defensive game that you did play so well during the regular season?
First of all, I give them a lot of credit, man. They played great. There was no comparison to what we saw in the regular. Their intensity and their speed went way up in the playoffs from what we saw, and we knew that. So that was the biggest difference during the regular season to this right now is their pace and their intensity at which they played with. They've won a Stanley Cup, and it showed itself this series. It did. They raised their battle level more than anything. They raised their battle level. The races, battles. The playoffs. That's when it's going to come down to. Who's willing to go to the net harder, and who's willing to take a hit to make a play. Who's willing to win battles in the corners and the boards. That's what it comes down to. Then the other things take into place. But that's the best they've played, and then give them credit for that.
Rick, I know it's fresh and you went through a lot this year personally and also with the team. Just wondering if it's completely up to you. Is your intention to remain here in Winnipeg and keep coaching this team?
We just lost in the playoffs. We'll figure that out.
What makes the difference at this time of year?
For what?
For
the team?
Yep.
It's the intensity. It is. It really is. The playoff intensity goes way up, and you can talk about it all you want. The teams that have won know how to get there. They got there tonight. They flipped us, or this series, they flipped a switch. I watched their last game against Vegas, and after we had beaten them 7-0, they took their game way up against Vegas. So I saw there's a different team. That was during the regular season. So again, you get to this stage. Are you at the end of a playoff series? If you're not putting an ice bag all on yourself, you're not playing hard enough. Simple as that.
Just wonder, Rick, after a playoff series like this where your team looked quite a bit different than it did during the regular season, we often hear players talk about, looking for answers. As a coaching staff, do you guys look for answers? Is there anything in hindsight, or maybe it's too early to say, anything you would have done differently in this series, whether it's personnel or systemic?
Yeah, for sure. We lost. We didn't win. So hindsight's 20/20. That's the one thing about it. But you do learn. Okay, you have to look back. Okay, that didn't work. That was a mistake. You have to be honest with yourself, which we will be very honest with ourselves as a staff about what we did right and what we did wrong and what we have to do better. We will be very, very honest about that. We always are.
Rick, how do you ensure that learning from those lessons means taking your game to the next level?
Well, so you go into next season, and you bring this up. Like last year, we went into camp and we brought up how we looked at the end of the year. Now you go into training camp, and you say that's how that's how it's got to look starting again. From the playoff experience, and you hope it grows. Listen, this is a proud group, and it's a tight group, and they're hurt. They're hurting right now, but that's not a bad thing. They should hurt. Last year there's a different hurt. We didn't battle, right? Tonight we battled, so there's a different hurt. But you still have to learn that you still have to take that game to another level. You do. Playoffs are a whole different animal, man. And if you can't raise your game to that intensity, you don't win the Stanley Cup. You know how hard it is to get there? I've been there 4 times. You know how hard it is to get there? It's hard. And your players are beat up when you get there. So.
How do you know this group of players can even do that?
Well, that's again, those are questions we have to answer over the course of the summer. Thank you all. It's been a pleasure.